All right, here we go again. Okay, so a lot of times you'll run into this with Satan. So the whole thing is where they're going, you're untrained. So you're going, what the fuck is Moore doing? He's saying we're untrained. No, I'm not saying you're not untrained, but our answer is training above what even is advanced training. Right. You have to find some mission specific training. And so this was going to come anyway, regardless of what they said. It's how Satan has the vision on this planet. He sees ahead of where we can see with God. It's just because the planet's evil. So Satan knew that I was going to figure this out, or Hashem was going to give me the information, however you want to phrase it. Right. So if we go back to LA, because the military was there, we were doing it a certain way. But then up in San Francisco, it fell apart because you didn't have military. Right. Well, it's not normal investigative posture. And again, it can look militarized, but I think that's what you need to do. And then you may have your own martial arts guys that you can bring. I mean, you're a big department, so you probably have several people, but you want, even for them, if they, again, you want new blood sometimes too. You know what I mean? Right. It's because, your stale methods, it just happens sometimes, and then you bring some new people in. So again, you may want to take your people, bring in some people from outside, some big names. If they'll work with you, I think they will. And well, you're gonna have to try to figure out how to find some time to do the drills. You're gonna have to train while you're doing your mission. So you have to schedule it. Well, from the coming out of the vehicle till you go back in the vehicle, you travel as a special ops team would travel. Again, you could even say, like, a lot of you guys were in combat. So, if you're in hostile territory and you want to talk to somebody, right. So, but you have to, I want it to be choreographed somehow. Right. So, see, battle drills is generally what we call it, but yeah, you need to come together with some battle drills. I shy away from using the word battle because people freak out. Oh, battle, right? You got to do battle drills. Right. Well, it's an extraordinarily difficult problem you're confronted with. This is not normal law enforcement. It's not normal military. You're stuck. It's like what I was telling you in the spy war. It's easy to be in the military. You just kill everybody. Right. These punks, they're out there effing with you. I've gone through this for probably at least 25 years. A little bit different, but still the same concept. So I know corrupt and criminal spies, probably the ones that working for the narcos, probably some KGBers that designed that whole thing. Okay. Now, you have to take it to the court that it's not free speech to make the noise, because the noise is designed for obstruction of justice. Right. You don't have to just arrest somebody for obstruction of justice. As law enforcement officers, you can stop obstruction of justice. So this idea where you have to let them do that shit because they have the right to protest is bullshit. First off, if a judge talks about the right to protest, you tell the judge bullshit. There is no legislated or constitutional right to protest. It's a non-legally sufficient term and concept. But there is a legal right to freedom of speech and freedom of assemble. And the freedom of assemble is peaceable assemble. This is why they're bringing up the right to protest, because they know it's statement analysis. They know they are not peaceably assembling. Right. There is no peaceful assemble there. So the reality is, no judge can tell you that you have to let them do that because they are obstructing justice. And you can stop obstructing justice. Bring a bus with you. Take every one of them, handcuff them, search them, shove them in a bus until you're finished. Drive them around in a bus all day. That's not unlawful detention. Right. You have the authority to stop them from obstructing your operations and destroying your secrecy and your ability to garner intelligence and information about the investigation that you're involved in. Right. They have no right to blow the whistle. Their intention is criminal. Their intention to blow that whistle is to obstruct justice. They even tell you every day. Their intention to blow that horn is to obstruct justice so that their narcotics dealer can stay in the United States and feed their heads.
Right.
And overdose their children. They're sickos. Now, the sound because I'm trying to figure out what's going on with that nurse. The sound of the whistle and the beep may have caused a change in the psychology of that nurse. And it may, and I'm not even going to say may, it's going to change the psychology of everybody, including the officers. You need to bring your psychological experts in there and explain what they're doing on every level. I don't care if he was the Virgin Mary and Mother Teresa combined, because that's what you're all going for. The fact is he committed those felonies and he had a weapon when he was doing it, but for causation, end of story. There is no untrained, but we need to increase training because of the situation caused by the people that say you're untrained. It's a scam. It's a setup.
Right.
It's one of the most difficult scenarios. It was probably designed by Russian and Chinese years ago. It's a psyop. It's one of the most difficult operations to engage in because you can't, you're in a combat scenario, but you can't engage in combat. That's why you see people go crazy when they do this to them and they just start popping people. Right. That's the effect they want. Right. There's going to be indictments, I'm sure of it. I'm just hoping you can get a change of venue. Right. So that's why I'm saying you have to come up with something. And the only way I can see it working is if you travel as a special ops team every time you're out of the vehicle. You're not, the relaxed times. I know you're trying to do some community outreach and stuff like that, but I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. I told you months ago to set up your own dining facilities and your own rest areas throughout the cities that you're operating in. Then you have to worry about people blocking your way to go pee. Well, I mean, because the vulnerability that was caused because you weren't, and again, it's not normal, but because you weren't moving as a team. Again, it's not normal to investigate via special ops team, but so essentially this is the other, this is the other way to look at it. Your investigator and your person that's laying hands on and that kind of thing is the principal in an executive protection scenario. I think I brought this up before or something like it. So you have to actually set up a executive protection perimeter. But again, I would say special ops team around the person that's interacting. And then you have your zones. So you have to, the same thing you do. I don't know if I'm sure they train some executive protection. So again, when you're doing your drills, some of it's executive protection. Right. So you're going to have to move as special ops kind of. I mean, you're going to do what you're going to do. That's what I would do. But I guess, it may interfere with some of the other stuff you're doing. Right. But you have to move at least as an executive protection detail, and the person in the middle. But no, you have to do zones. You can't just move along. Yeah, maybe they're not trained. I guess they're not trained. So you need to bring in like Secret Service and marshals that are executive protection gurus, right, and have them train everybody to move those drills at whatever level. Again, they have to be. It's kind of a hybrid. This is the problem. Right. And don't be afraid of going for training. They're schmucks. They work for Satan. That tells me they work for Satan. So this is how I know the black guy was real that said they arrest. Because I was getting ready to tell you, well, usually when people yell 5-0, usually we don't charge them. That's different. This is not somebody like freedom of speech. They can hit that, but it's not. It's obstruction of justice to yell 5-0 when everybody pulls up to raid a house. Right. And some other things. But we usually don't charge it. We just charge in as quick as we can. Yeah. Or if you're running after. So, and now they go popo or whatever it is they say. Emigre, But I was getting ready to tell you the opposite, and then he came up and I started laughing. And I'm like, we usually don't charge, people yell 5-0, but this is a concerted criminal conspiracy. Even though sometimes they're lookouts and that's how it works, but this is much more sophisticated. Right. And that's the reality of it. This is a sophisticated criminal operation designed to thwart law enforcement. You have to develop the skills to destroy it right now, because it's not going to stop with immigration. That's how they introduce it. I mean, it's the same old Antifa bullshit, but they adjusted it to fit their needs. Right. Which tells me Antifa was created by foreign spies at one point or another. You're in a spy war. You're in an insurgency, but it's a spy insurgency. If it was a regular insurgency, you go, and again they'll go, oh yeah, they shoot people. Yeah, there'd be more people. If it was a real insurgency, it'd be more, they'd all be what do they call them? Not profiles. What are the target things called? They just be falling over. Ping, 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 ping. The metal plates, ping, ping, ping. You can't do that in spy war insurgency. But again, you might have judges that are absolutely corrupt. They may be behind the scenes, having lunch, having dinner, passing it through the intern or through the clerk in their office, right, to their buddies, who passes it to the clerk and the intern. Believe me, court cases have been screwed up by clerks and interns passing stuff back and forth, manipulating judges and manipulating whoever else they're working for, U.S. attorneys or whoever, right? And of course, today they're multimillionaires, so they won, right? But they'll go to hell for it, right? So you're in a spy war, and you got to come up with some things to do. I didn't have the ability to charge people. Now, some of the agents did. They went after people and charged them. Like, you couldn't charge somebody for what they did to me because the fix was in. Right. But you could charge somebody for doing something else, and that's how they did it. I believe. Again, like people being deported right now. Right? No, a large number of immigrants did it, and narcos. Like I told you years ago, it takes some years, and then it happens. Right. Well, it takes Hashem a while to move the earth because it's not his earth; it's Satan's earth or planet. I wouldn't even call this earth. Well, again, what's his name? Who was the guy's name? Freddie. He shouldn't even have got near that whole situation with the woman. Right. You had sufficient officers, but you were just doing what you usually do. You weren't looking to do anything more than what you were doing. And again, the PD wouldn't even do that much. They would have a couple detectives get out of the car. And that's it. Right. If that, even. Right. Could be a patrolman and a detective. Right. So you have to form it into an executive protection team, and whoever is handling the detainee. Oh, I think I brought this up before somehow, something like it, but with the military, I think. Right. Yeah, you can't let them capture your flag. Right. You have to, protect the football there. Right. Or not let them run the ball, whichever it is. So that's all it is. So you need to have at least, okay, again, you should have 2 people. Oh, I brought this up before, something like it. You bring 2 people, at least 2 people. Actually, I was saying 3, I think. But you want to have at least 4 around, like 2 in the front, 2 in the rear. Again, bring your executive protection people in so you can run things past them. I don't have input. I mean, I get stuff in the mind, but so bring some Secret Service, executive protection gurus in, maybe some special. You got some in your own departments and agencies. Your own agencies as far as martial arts and all that. So just put people together to brainstorm what's the best movement techniques. I mean, they're going to yell militarized, but who cares? Well, the key is to not let Preddy get to that woman. Right. Because I think that's where it got crazy. And again, the takedowns, work on the takedowns. Right. Well, you want to control his arms better, and their arms better. I know it's a mayhem, madness out there, but you gotta get it. Nobody does this anymore. I realize that for some reason, Aikido and all that stuff went by the wayside. Maybe it's the Russians. Who knows? No, for a while, law enforcement was just like Aikido, Aki Jiu-Jitsu, right? And that was, I mean, everybody was at least, brainstorming a couple moves. So when there was a takedown, you would see officers moving Aikido and Aki Jiu-Jitsu and a couple other things. Maybe because it's the MMA era, it doesn't work as well. But it's part of MMA. But right. Well, because in the martial arts that I'm speaking about, you're doing that. You got that arm. You got that hand in that arm. Again, the Federal Bureau of Prisons, they used to teach it. I don't know what they teach now. Right. At least a few moves. But again, once you understand the mechanics of it, you can move it yourself. Like usually, Aikido only works when they come at you. But what you do is you grab on with the right grip, and then you start moving away from the person. You have to muscle it. In Aikido, you don't have to muscle it, but that's okay. It still effectuates the same move. So what you're doing is you're going to swing that person down to the ground. So again, zones are going to be important because you can't be crowded. You're just going to take that person down. You're going to pull that like an arm bar. You're going to pull that hand behind the back. You're going to mobilize that arm. They still have the other arm, but you can apply good feeling and they, hopefully will stop moving. But he went nuts. Preddy was nuts. It could be that sound. You have to go to the psychological warfare gurus in the military, and you have to ask them, could this sound be causing people like Preddy just to lose their mind? Essentially, he lost his mind. He's not a hero. Why are you telling him that's heroic? I mean, there is something coming up now.
Right.
Okay, so he's with veterans all day, heroes, right? He might lack that yeah, that's what it is. Right. Low self-esteem of some sort. Right. Trying to boost his ego to be like the veterans he takes care of. It's probably that. But again, that sound could have pumped him up into that. But it just doesn't make sense. Again, you should be able to see the difference between Preddy carrying that firearm and the other people that we've seen at protests with firearms. A lot of times the guy, you ever see the guys, the auditors, are they the auditors? This is what started this bullshit too. I told you that was dangerous. I don't believe it's lawful to plan to irritate police officers every day. Right? That's stalking and other things.
Right.
Well, if you watch them, they usually put the firearm on their shoulder and they walk kind of just, like dress right dress. So they know not to make any furtive movements. Preddy was Mr. Furtive. Anybody with a firearm that knows what they're doing that's going to do something like that is not going to do what Preddy did. It's insane. So again, there is such a thing called, I know it's weird because I looked at the video and I said, that has to be tunnel vision. I mean, unless you have evidence that they're cold-blooded killers and they sat there that morning and said, hey, we're going to kill the next guy that defies us. I mean, I don't think they did that, but well, because you're looking at them and it looks like they can see everything, right? But they can't. The sniper case in Albuquerque was tunnel vision also. I don't know if they argued it. I did in the open court of the world. And he was acquitted because tunnel vision's real. But I don't think they saw. I don't have the statements, so you have to do that part. But if you have contrary evidence, that's contrary. But if they believed he had the gun, from what I see, it's fine. Not fine, but it's legitimate. So you're gonna, and again, Minneapolis PD, Minnesota State Police do not generally train tunnel vision counter operations. Okay, so don't let them tell you that they're trained at that level. Well, because they don't have to deal with what ICE is dealing with. They're already, again, your psychological warfare people in the military, in the FBI, you need to start putting pen to paper, or again, whatever you do, fingers to keyboard. I don't know if you even say that anymore. You got to put fingers to keyboard, and you have to start explaining and researching what this does. Well, because again, it's not okay to stalk law enforcement. It's not okay to obstruct justice because what that's doing is causing the mayhem. Nobody has a right to stop ICE from their missions. You want to make it difficult, then you should be in prison. But in the meantime, I think the operations in Minnesota, the way it would normally work is a state police officer would impound the vehicle. They take these people in. The judge might be a liberal and say, man, don't do it again. Right. Lets them go. If you pick them up again, the judge isn't going to say that. They get kind of stuck at that point. So if they go back out there, because these people are radicalized. Right. No, they're not like, we're protesting radicalized. No, you're radicalized spycraft operators designed to destroy the United States and addict your own kids to heroin and opiates.
Right.
Well, I think that's one of the problems. That rhythmic and all that sound, I think that'll take the stress level up to a point where all this stuff's happening. Even the protesters, it's causing their psychology to be skewed.
Right.
Well, Putin's laughing. I already saw signs. He's laughing. Let's see you get out of this one more. No, I think this is the Khrushchev plan going to fruition.
Right.
Like I said years ago. I told you in 2007, something like that was happening. Right. Before they put the Border Patrol in prison, right? Actually, it's about the same time, I guess. Right. Well, you need to provide the judges with enough information so that you understand that that is not simple freedom of expression. And I don't know if the Supreme Court would buy into that, as far as it being just some sort of freedom. To begin with, it's a violation of tons of state traffic and noise laws, to include disorderly conduct. And I believe because it's involving law enforcement, it's not only obstruction of justice, it's disorderly conduct that could cause bodily injury, and has, and loss of life, and has. Again, you're not going to blame the officers for the environment you all created. There's an entire world of science that says that the state of Minnesota and its law enforcement entity not protecting the city from all of that is what caused it all. Again, this is the deep state thing. This is the spycraft thing. Oh, you need us, huh? You need us, huh? Right. So they're trained and they're corrupt and they're taking money, because this is what it was in Kansas. This is what it was in Oklahoma. This is what it was in Santa Fe. This is what it was in Naples. Right. The same criminal bullshit from the Russians, the Chinese, and the narcos. But I'm rich, boy. I got a big Naples home. You'll pay for it in hell. Real hell. If you ask me, Naples is the ghetto, just a bunch of crooks. Right? Devilish crooks. All right, we'll be back in a minute for prayers.